speakers up here? I think I do, yes. Okay, welcome everybody to the Ossining Library this afternoon. Just really quick, I have my colleague Bonnie Katz wants to say a few words about the music that was playing when you came in.
Thanks, I'm honored to say a few words, welcome. And the music was from the Bridges of Madison County, and the composer won 2 Tonys for it, and his name is Jason Robert Brown. He was born in Ossining, and that's very exciting. And the voices were Kelly O'Hara and Stephen Pasquale. Thank you.
Okay, thanks Bonnie. Welcome everyone to the Ossining Library this afternoon to celebrate the library's 125th anniversary. Let's have a big round of applause for the library. For those of you who don't know me, my name is James Trapasso. I'm the Program and Events Coordinator here at the Ossining Library, and I'll be your MC for today. Just a few announcements before we begin. Please locate the exits on either side of you in case of an emergency. Please turn off all cell phones or turn them to silent if you haven't already. Please no flash photography during the performance, during today's festivities, I should say, and later the performance. When you came in, the programs that you received, if you could take them with you or recycle them, that would be very helpful. Bathrooms are down the hall and to the right. I do ask that you stay for the duration of today's ceremony. And you're all welcome to the reception afterwards. If you have to get up for any reason, that you wait for a good time to do so. The opening reception and the birthday party for the teens and kids will be tomorrow afternoon, later after we close at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Boudars Theater. And that's for families, teens, kids. The Sunday afternoon concert series returns tomorrow also with the Eric Person Quintet. So if you didn't get enough of the library today, you can come back tomorrow at 2 o'clock right here in the Boudars Theater. And for more information on our many upcoming special anniversary programs and events happening this year, please visit our website at ossininglibrary.org or pick up our newsletter, The Update. And there is a flyer outside in the hallway on the table for you with the year's events. And we will have a special anniversary edition of our newsletter coming out very soon for you as well. Don't forget to check out what's happening at the library and stay up to date on our anniversary events by visiting us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. So we have an exciting and packed program planned for you today, as you can see. So without further ado, I'm going to please welcome the Ossining Public Library Director, Karen LaRocca-Fells.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here this afternoon. We are so excited to be celebrating our 125th anniversary. We've been planning this for about a year now, I think. And we're just so happy that today's here. Before I go any further, I would like to recognize those volunteers and staff members who have been so instrumental in planning the events, not only just today, but for the rest of the year. I would like to recognize our library's Board of Trustees, and as I read your name, if you could stand up and be acknowledged. Matthew Weiss, Alice Joselo, Maddie Zahach, Peter Kapek, Lucinda Manning, and Debbie Goddard. I'm not sure if Debbie's here today, but still happy to have her. I would also like to acknowledge the board of our friends of the Ossining Public Library who've been very, very helpful and instrumental in this whole process. So if you could stand up as I say your name: Barbara Henninger, Bonnie Zukowski, Dennis Newberger, and Michelle Talley. Also with us today are some of the board members of our Ossining Public Library Foundation: Sue Fear, Suda Narsapur, and Andy Rosenthal. We've had a number of people working all year on our 125th committee who've been planning all of these events. I'm going to read out everybody's name. If you could stand up as I read your name and hold your applause, please, to the end, because it's a rather large committee. Matthew Weiss, Lucinda Manning, Alice Joselo, Barbara Henninger, our staff co-chairs who've been very busy for the past year, James Trapasso and Debbie Fletcher, and our committee, Scott Craven, Linda Levine, Louis Creasy, Bill Broadnex, Molly Robbins, Bonnie Katz, and Allison Robbins. A big round of applause. 125 years ago, the members of the Ossining community, which at that time was referred to as Sing Sing, chartered the Sing Sing Public Library, which was later renamed the Ossining Public Library. The library had started as a very small collection of books in the superintendent's office at Park School. And as the library grew, it grew to occupy several locations in the community. As I said, it started off at the Park School. It moved on to the Twigger Building on Main Street. And then in 1914, the community petitioned Andrew Carnegie and arranged to have a building built on this location here, actually right where our parking lot is. And that building served as the library for a number of years. In 1968, it was replaced by a modern building on the same site. And then in 2007, it was replaced by the beautiful building that we're in today. Though the library has grown and changed throughout the years, there are some things that remain constant. The first, in my mind, is the library's unwavering dedication to serving its community. And the second, in my mind, is the community's dedicated support of its library. I'm so pleased to welcome you to the OPL's 125th anniversary celebration and hope to see you at many of the wonderful events that we have planned throughout the year. Thank you so much for being here today and for your support over the years.
Now please welcome President of the Board of Trustees, Matthew Weiss.
I hope you don't have to ask, but in case you're wondering why we would have this celebration, it's because we don't have many opportunities to show you how proud we are of this building and the people and the resources in it. And we also didn't realize in enough ways how proud all of you are of the Ossining Public Library. Now, there are many ways to evaluate and measure the success of a public library. For instance, how many books are borrowed in a year, or perhaps how many people visit the library in a year, or is the budget being balanced properly? And they're all important. I prefer to use stories to measure the success of a library. For instance, I recently met a young couple who were trying to decide where they wanted to live in Westchester and raise a family. And the husband was familiar with Ossining, but the wife wasn't. So he brought her to the mezzanine, the top floor of our library. And as they gazed across the valley and saw the Hudson River in the distance, she turned to him and said, "Now I get it." And they bought a home in Ossining, and they're starting a family. Or maybe it's the story of a young visitor from a neighboring community who stopped in the library one day, and she saw a young man that caught her fancy. And after a conversation, she wrote her phone number on his library card. And that was over 45 years ago, and they're still together. Or maybe it's the story of a young boy whose mother took him regularly to the children's room so he could improve his reading skills. One day they read the book by Dr. Seuss, and to think I saw it on Mulberry Street. And in there the phrase, "Keep your eyelids up and see what you can see," stuck in his mind. And from that day on, he was determined to find the real Mulberry Street. But he also fell in love with reading, and he fell in love with the library. Wherever he lived, he would visit the local library. Wherever he traveled, he would visit the local library. And today he sits on the board of trustees of his local library. Yes, that's my story. But isn't it nice to come to a place where you have freedom of choice and you decide what it is you want to learn about and explore? Isn't it nice to come to a place where very friendly librarians approach you and ask, how can I help you? And I've always wondered about that question because there's another meaning to that question as far as I'm concerned. It means, let me be your guide. Let me guide you to the resources that you're looking for and go beyond. Let me guide you to the wonders of the world and the universe. Let me guide you to become not just a curious person, but a true explorer. And maybe one day we'll put a sign on the outside of the building that says, Explorers Wanted. Well, I assure you that I did find Mulberry Street. And it's inside of me. And it's inside each of you. And you should always remember that and always use your library. Thank you.
Bravo!
Take a second and share with you that we'll be taking photographs during the reception, and we have picture frames. So we'll be posting them perhaps on Instagram or perhaps the internet, and these will be circulated when we go outside.
Thanks, Matt. So a few things got changed right before we started. So please welcome County Executive George Latimer.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here for the 125th anniversary. I did the math, and if I waited for the 200th anniversary, I'd be 139 years old, so I figured this is the right time to come. I'm here with other members of the elected community. Each in turn will have a similar proclamation, and we have one from the Westchester County Executive's Office. But the greater proclamation that I have is because of the service you've done for the Ossining community. Now, I've never lived in Ossining. I've been in the library for a number of different public meetings, but I grew up on the other side of the county in Mount Vernon. And we were a modest family, and I spent a lot of time in that public library as a young boy. There wasn't much traveling we could afford to do, but I traveled the whole world, and I traveled back in time by going to that library as a young kid. I'll never forget that. And I know that that's what this library has done for generations of Ossining people. So in honor of your tremendous and continuing accomplishment, we have a proclamation from the County of Westchester. It is only valid if it is matched by an equal proclamation from Catherine Borgia and from Margaret Kunzio, who are in the room. But assuming that all of the proclamations are lined up, it is Ossining Public Library Day in the County of Westchester. So Karen, I guess so.
Thanks so much, George. Please welcome Deputy Mayor of the Village of Ossining, John Codman.
You're never sure when your name's going to get called here, so I wasn't quite ready for this. But, thank you. This is an amazing resource for our village and the town and really all around Westchester. This is one of the busiest libraries in the county, and it's a credit to all those that are part of it and run it and administer it. And really a round of applause for all the people that do the hard work. And I'm certainly thankful to be here today. I will skip all the proclamation stuff, the history and information were talked about earlier, which is great. But let me just say that therefore I, John Codman, Deputy Mayor of the Village of Ossining, along with Mayor Garrity, and on behalf of the trustees and residents and merchants of the village, do hereby congratulate the trustees and staff of the Ossining Public Library as they celebrate the Ossining Public Library's 125th anniversary and proclaim Sunday, February 11th, an Ossining Public Library Day in the Village of Ossining. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Ossining Town Supervisor Dana Levenberg.
a good thing that the village is in the town of Ossining, because we didn't actually proclaim a day for the library, but the village is in town, so we're all good. I just wanted to introduce two other council members that are here today from the town, Jackie Shaw and Liz Feldman. If you guys want to join me up here to present this proclamation. I spent a lot of time here when my kids were younger, and then sort of over the years, maybe a little bit less time in the kids' room and a little more time in this room. This library is just an incredible place for our community to come together for so many wonderful events and programs and projects, and just to hang out and just to talk and read and listen and use the computers. I think you guys were just Best of Westchester, Best Library in Westchester, 2 years in a row. We know why. We love it. You are the heart and soul of our community, and it's always just a pleasure to work with you. We work so well together. You have an incredible board. You have an incredible director. We're so proud of your 125 years, and here's to another 125 even better ones to come. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dan. Please welcome Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. And Matthew, I have a story. In 1968, we had decided that we needed to move to a house because we were living in an apartment, and the man that lived downstairs didn't like me taking baths at night or my son running on the floor. So we were making noise. So we had to go to a place where we could make noise. So we were looking around the communities, and so in 1968, we had a friend who had just moved to Ossining, and she drove us around the community, but the big thing was the Ossining Library. Now, in 1968, it was the second library on this campus, right? And it was a brand new one. The Carnegie one had been torn down. This is a brand new one, and it was like the magnet for the community. And we said, oh, this is so great. And we moved here in 1969, raised our family here, and we're in the children's room and all over. And I actually had a chance to serve on the library board. And I remember at that time we were in the other library, and we were trying to figure out how to spruce up that one room upstairs that was so-called community room. If any of you remember it, it was very hard to spruce up. It was 3 walls. Wait a minute, there might have been a door. There was a door in the front. There might have been a door to the children's room, but the walls were blank. So we actually decided to do as many art exhibits as we possibly could to liven the walls. But we also were trying to pick out colored chairs to make it look a little bit more exciting. I mean, these are the things we had to do. And then when we got this library, oh my goodness, here we are, this wonderful place that people from all over come to for music, for lectures, for movies, concert, everything. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. So we're just so lucky to be here, and I'm so lucky to be part of the Ossining community and be driven by the Ossining Library way back then. And so on behalf of the New York State Assembly, we passed a legislative resolution on January 22nd, which my colleagues all voted for. And basically, it reminded us in the resolution that the Ossining Public Library has served the local community through 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and an unprecedented boom in media and technology that has transformed the library and library services, which we all know. And that's why we had to get rid of the library that was over here, because we couldn't put the technology in without spending a lot of money and not really having much at the end of the day. So remember that campaign. It was a great campaign. And so the library is steeped in proud and distinguished history. The Ossining Public Library may take just pride in its purposeful growth as it looks forward to continuing to serve the educational, cultural, and intellectual needs of the community. And whereas the success of the Ossining Public Library is direct correlation to the efforts of its staff over all those years, whose involvement is and always has been characterized by an impressive commitment, an unbridled enthusiasm, and an uncompromising standard of excellence in all endeavors and on behalf of the library and the community that it serves. So on behalf of the New York State Assembly, we say happy 125th year. Thanks.
Thanks, Sandy. And in the fall, I should mention, Karen and I were on Sandy's show talking about the 125th anniversary of the library. So thanks again, Sandy. So Catherine Borgia was here, County Legislator Catherine Borgia was here, but she had to leave. So in her place, please welcome Margaret Conzio.
Thank you very much. It's truly an honor for me to be here. As mentioned, Catherine Borgia and myself both share Ossining. And as an educator and someone who's married to an educator, we understand the value of the library itself and how it really is the center of a community. I grew up in another town but spent many, many days in the library. And on a day like today, my favorite thing to do was to find that little window nook that looked outside, curl up with a book, and just sit and read. And to this day, nothing beats the sound of a hardcover book when you open it up with the binding or the smell of a brand new book. I can't do the Kindle, I try. There's something about that hardcover book. One of the things that I remember most about being an elementary school teacher, and George, there's a connection with Mount Vernon here, is I was a kindergarten teacher in Mount Vernon, and every year we would take the kindergarten students to the library to get their first library cards. And it was something that the kids were so excited about to have in their hands and to get to spend a day at the library and have that opportunity. So it is truly an honor for me, on behalf of myself and Legislator Catherine Borgia, to present you with another proclamation, but wait. So we have today, we have tomorrow. We're going to add a third day for the Ossining Public Library Day, and that is going to be Tuesday, February 13th. But there is this little screen outside of the county center called the Jumbotron. And on Tuesday, February 13th, it is going to display on top of that it is the Ossining Public Library Day. All day it will scroll through there. So congratulations on behalf of Westchester County.
Thanks, Margaret. That's great. Okay, bear with me. Technology's nice when it works. Okay, hold on.
Filling the neighborhood with music. Hi, it's Casey with your good news. After Alan Marzelli retired from a career in business, he knew he wanted to do something different with his time and give back. He and his wife Ellen decided to share their love of music, and they partnered with the Ossining Library Foundation and pulled together the funding for 6 free concerts back in 2011. Since then, the Marzellis have produced over a dozen ticketed shows, raising over $12,000 for the library, and dozens of free concerts. Aztec Two-Step and the Fab Four are just some of the great names that have played the Ossining Library in this Words and Music series, thanks to Alan and Ellen. The concerts this month with Joan Osborne and Larry Campbell and Teresa Williams have already sold out. Putting Ossining on the map as a destination for world-class live music? We think that's good news. Who deserves a standing ovation in your town? Send your good news stories in when you see the link at WHUD.com.
Please welcome Alan Marzelli.
So yeah, we thought Casey could say it a lot better than I can and in a lot shorter time frame. But that's a pretty easy synopsis of what happened when I retired and Ellen and I decided to ask the library if we could use this room, and partnered with the Ossining Library Foundation, and Sue is here, and Sue is here from the board, to present at first some free concerts and ticketed concerts to support those free concerts. Eventually, we became victims of our own success. We were at the risk of breaking the fire code many, many times with the free concerts because the artists that we brought in were international touring and recording artists. So we evolved into doing ticketed shows and donating the proceeds back to the library. As you could tell, that audio vignette was actually a feature on WHUD in April of 2017. Those concerts did sell out with Larry Campbell and Teresa Williams and Joan Osborne. And in total, just to update the numbers, we produced 30 free shows, 15 ticketed shows, donated $16,000 back to the library to help James produce his wonderful programming that goes on throughout the year. And we will be coming back in the fall with one more ticketed show on Friday or Saturday night, not sure which. Stay tuned for that. And as always, the net proceeds will be donated back to the library. My wife and my co-conspirator, Ellen, is here. If you would please stand up. Ellen has documented this entire series both on our YouTube channel, which is Words, Music, Concerts, and also with photos. Some of those photos are on display outside. We're very proud of all the artists that we've had here, and we thank everybody in the room that has supported us. Stay tuned for September. Thank you.
Please welcome from the Ossining Library Foundation, Suda Narsiper.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's been an honor being a member of the Library Foundation. But even before I joined the foundation, I've been a community member. It's been a great experience being part of this community and raising my children and being an educator in this district. So this is a very popular term you've heard. It takes a village to raise a child, but it takes the Ossining Public Library to bring everybody in this village to raise our children. So it's so true, and I've been reading up a little bit on what different authors have been saying about libraries in general. Some things that resonate with what I feel is Ray Bradbury said he was raised by the library. Even though he didn't have the opportunity to go to college, he spent a lot of time just going through the library. And so many children come here and they are going through many experiences, playing chess, reading, making friends. It's a social community and educational, cultural community experience which cannot be, it's just impossible to even explain what kind of a role it plays in a community like Ossining. So with all of that said, the foundation, we're trying to help bring all of that and continue the funding to help programs, and we're still trying to figure out where we are in this process. And so we welcome all the help that we can in fulfilling this role, and also joining the Friends and the library board, everybody. So it takes all of us to make this place run. Thank you very much.
So now, just bear with me again. This next clip is just a short preview of our oral history project that we've been working on here at the library. And I'd like to recognize those who are instrumental in working on it. Linda Levine, who is here, Chris Surovich, who could not be here, and Louis Quishy. And this clip was done by Louis, and the video, the whole piece, will be coming out in the fall. So look for that on our social media and our website and everywhere. Oh, hold on.
I live right in front of the library, so the apartment's right in front of the library, and my first memory of coming out of the balcony and looking at my surroundings for the first time, and I see Ossining Public Library.
That's central to a community. So it's almost like it's a beacon. It calls out what is, if you don't know, what is that building? And if you do know, I'm wondering what's inside that will interest me.
I think libraries are not only like for books, you know, it's for everything. It just feels like a very comfortable, welcoming place.
It acted as this place that was a respite, it was friendly, it was a safe place, it was an inspiring place.
I find my fun at the library.
Next, I'm going to read a poem. I opened a book by Julia Donaldson. I opened a book, and in I strode. Now nobody can find me. I've left my chair, my house, my road, my town, and my world behind me. I'm wearing the cloak, I've slipped on the ring, I've swallowed the magic potion. I've fought with a dragon, dined with a king, and dived in a bottomless ocean. I opened a book and made some friends. I shared their tears and laughter and followed their road with its bumps and bends to the happily ever after. I finished my book and out I came. The cloak can no longer hide me. My chair and my house are just the same, but I have a book inside me. So now please welcome to read that poem in Spanish, my colleague Guillermo Rodriguez.
Thank you, Jimmy. Abrí un libro de Julia Donaldson. Abrí un libro y de una zancada me metí en él. Ahora nadie puede encontrarme. Dejé mi silla, mi casa, mi calle, mi ciudad y mi mundo tras de mí. Llevo la capa, me he puesto el anillo, he tomado la poción mágica, he luchado con un dragón, cenado con un rey y nadado en un océano sin fondo. Abrí un libro e hice algunos amigos. Compartí sus lágrimas y su risa y seguí sus caminos con sus baches y curvas hasta que vinieron felices para siempre. Terminé el libro y salí de él. La capa ya no puede esconderme. Mi silla, mi casa son exactamente las mismas, pero yo tengo un libro dentro de mí. Thank you.
Okay, now on to the fun parts of the afternoon. We're going to have theme performances. So, the relaxing parts. If you guys want to just take your seats down in the front, we can relax a little bit. Oh, wait. Please welcome from the Ossining High School, sisters Candace and Sophie Yu. Thank you to the sisters, that was great. Now on to our final performance by pianist David Fung. Described as stylish and articulate in the New York Times and having superstar qualities by Les Libre, pianist David Fung is widely recognized for performances that are elegant and refined, yet intensely poetic and uncommonly expressive. Mr. Fung appears regularly with the world's premier ensembles, including the Cleveland Orchestra, Israel Philharmonic Orchestra, the Israel Symphony Orchestra, the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra, the National Orchestra of Belgium, the National Taiwan Symphony Orchestra, the New Japan Philharmonic Orchestra, the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, the San Diego Symphony Orchestra, the San Francisco Symphony, and the Tampere Philharmonic Orchestra, and with the major orchestras in Australia, including the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, the Queensland Symphony Orchestra, and the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, just to name a few. And he has also performed here recently with the Manhattan Chamber Players. So without further ado, please welcome accomplished pianist David Fung.
Terrific. Thank you, James, for that introduction. I'm so thrilled to be here as a part of these proceedings today for the 125th anniversary. Gosh, that's a long time. That's really exciting. I always felt this space was always one of the gems around the New York City area, and a lot of the musicians just really love coming up here to share music with the audiences here in Ossining. I'd like to begin today with a wonderful sonata by Mozart. Very enjoyable, very joyful, full of life. Full of the comical quirks that you'd really expect in some of his operas. So without further ado, this is Kochel 283 by Mozart. Mr. Mozart. The next piece I'd like to play is from a Brazilian composer called Reto Villalobos. And he wrote a lot of guitar music, very, very pretty music, but he also wrote some very passionate piano music. And I like to think of him as the Latin Rachmaninoff. Big chords, lots of virtuosity, but a really beautiful melancholy piece which evokes minstrel impressions, which is the name of this piece, Impressos Serasteras. Thank you. Ravel. And again, with this waltz theme that we just heard in the Belle de Roche, we continued to this big Viennese waltz. Even though he was a French composer, he wrote a tribute to the Viennese here, and this just has a lot of the joie de vivre, but the piece at some point turns in on itself and it kind of implodes. I don't know if that's the French way of celebrating the Viennese, but I think it was just that time of history where it was sort of just World War I had just happened, and I think this was sort of in some ways an ironic kind of statement as well about the height of the waltz and then also its destruction. But on that note, it's a really wonderful piece. Ravel's La Valse.
Thank you so much, David. I think in my mind I can play the piano like that. We really wanted to highlight the Steinway grand piano that we're so very lucky and honored to have, and he played it phenomenally. That was terrific. So that concludes our ceremony for today, and so you are all welcome to join us throughout the year for our many events that we have planned. And please join us for our closing reception, which will be held on Sunday, December 8th, yes, December, at 2 o'clock right here, and we'll be featuring the New Westchester Symphony Orchestra. And now you're all welcome to join us out in the gallery for some refreshments. Thank you all for coming. And thank you to our speakers and our performers. Thank you so much.